that's
Whatever.
great.
What
Okay.
do we say, Mr. Producer? We on? We are on. How about that? That was the boringest opening I ever have lived through. Hard to know what we're doing. Hello, folks. Hope everybody's out there. They all got their popcorn early, pulled up in front of their seats, and they're ready to watch the show. What do you think, Miss Agent Butters?
I'm ready.
Agent Dino?
Yes, I'm ready.
Everybody's ready. So we are going to discuss one of the most common things in the protection dog world. This argument has been going on since, I don't know, I guess since Noah was a private in the Army. Just a long time. I call it Suitsuckers, and it used to be called Sack Happy, and then it was called Sleeve Happy. We're talking about dogs who are really just biting equipment. They're really not trying to stop a man. And for some reason, the in thing, the vogue thing to do has become this thing where dogs bite everybody in the armpit, or not in the armpit, I guess in the bicep. So every dog that's supposedly a security dog is, so they're going to teach them to target, and I think they call it the pocket. I don't know why they call it the pocket. I never had a pocket on my arm, but they want them in the pocket. And once it's in the pocket, then if you watch closely on these videos, what made me think about this was I was watching somebody's video here a while back, and the dog, this male is just, they get him just really going crazy. So when you're kicking in prey drive and these dogs are getting excited, what you've got is adrenaline coursing through, right? And this adrenaline, I mean, as you keep working the dog up, at some point, that poor little 60-pound male or whatever it is, he's higher than Carrie on Saturday night. I mean, he's just
Pretty high.
Pretty high, huh?
Same.
So all they can think about is that place where they bite. And dogs are literal. So when we train them for one thing, they're always going to do that one thing, and they'll rarely ever figure out on their own how to change it. And especially when they've gotten so excited, they lose the ability to think and change it. One reason I think males are more popular in police work and everything today is because they get so excited they don't think, but they always follow the routine that they've learned, always. So some people can say they're better trained, some people can say they don't know how to think, but I'll leave that up to the breeding enthusiasts.
Isn't that bad though, to have your dog on a pattern? Like, I don't know. That's off subject, sorry.
Well, no, that's actually part of the subject. That's a good question. Because the dogs that are supposed to be a security dog, you're teaching them this pattern, this target they call it, where they always bite, right?
Yeah, but what if something goes wrong and the dog doesn't know what to do because it's always been taught a pattern? So if it's not the same thing they've done, do you feel what I'm saying? It's not gonna.
What's going to happen?
No, what's gonna happen? That's why I'm asking you. Because if dogs are on patterns and you mess up the pattern, they're not gonna know what to do, basically.
Basically, and actually, she just hit the nail on the head. I keep seeing people talking about target. We got to teach our dog to target. We got to teach the dog to target. And I've seen more than one instance of dogs since this new style became popular, of dogs going in competitions like the pro sport competition, where we don't have a pattern training, and any scenario can be set up slightly different than the other scenario. But of course, all the judging and everything is consistent. What the judges are looking for is consistent, so you know from every trial. That's the only way you know if you can certify if a dog's certifiable or not. You need a consistent something or other to judge him against. And I've seen these targeted dogs. We'll have a decoy who instead of standing right here and holding his arm up, he's got a chair and he's going to try to keep the dog away. Or in one case, I'll never forget, we had a dog who was a champion in some kind of sport. He said, maybe blowing smoke up, I don't know. But the dog was doing really good, and she ran downfield, and the decoy threw the chair at her and turned around and started running, and this little dog runs around him, and he doesn't stop and hold his arm up, so she ran around him again, and the decoy's running, and this dog's just circling him because he didn't stop and hold his arm up. So if you'll start looking at some of these videos, you'll understand why. Look closely at the dog when he's right here. This is before the guys start rolling over them and picking them up and poking them on walls and holding their head underwater and doing all
That's
this.
stupid.
That's what?
The water thing, I've never gotten the water thing. Because why would you send your dog in water to bite somebody that's in the water anyways? He could drown your dog.
Thank you, Carrie.
I would never do that. That's the stupidest crap I've ever freaking seen in my life. If somebody runs in the water, bye. You call my dog back. That's just stupid.
Drive around the other side of the lake and wait for him, right?
Yeah, or he's gone, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not how easy would that be for that guy to hold my dog down and drop him?
Exactly.
So that's what I never, ever I don't understand half this stuff I see on that's popular. I don't understand it. Like, my dog's trained for real life scenarios.
That's why you don't understand it. You see?
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't.
And there's actually one case that I know of, is a Midwest state, I can't remember, where a police officer did send his dog after some guy that they were chasing afoot, and he jumped into a lake to escape, and for reasons that escape me, the canine handler sent his dog into the water after this guy. And, you know, the dog swam out to him, and I don't know if he actually bit him or not, but I do know the dog's dead because he drowned him.
That's
So-
just stupid. I'm not very smart, and I know that's stupid.
But do you think too, because I talked to the Burleson Police Department, they say they didn't use the canines because of all of the, they need them to bite a certain way, and
They
then
said that they do or don't.
They don't use them because
They
of
don't. They wouldn't
so
run
high
there.
risk. Yeah,
They don't have the money for it probably, or they don't want to train somebody properly.
yeah.
Is probably what it. Well,
Is
I
that
don't
why
know.
they
I'm
make
just
them bite a
guessing.
certain way? Maybe that's why they changed the style so they wouldn't have the risk of something happening.
Now, you know what you just did, don't you?
Yeah.
We just piss people off.
You just gave the Suitsucker trainers another excuse as to why it's good that the dog only bites in one
Right.
place. That way you never get sued.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why they did that.
So let's
If
go.
I send Bullet and somebody doesn't have their arm up or they're running, I don't want my dog to circle him because
Correct.
My dog's gonna jump and he's gonna grab you wherever he can grab you, and half the time it's back here,
Yes.
and he'll take you down.
That's right.
But
That's what I
like
want
we've
my
been doing, and like I do stuff where the decoy will jump out of the way.
Yes.
Bullet don't get. He'll grab whatever he can grab. He's grabbed him here
They won't
before.
stop.
What?
They don't stop. Like they jump and your dog goes and he resets himself and he goes for the bite
Yeah,
wherever he can get it.
because I've taught, like you said, I've
That's
taught
what
my
we taught
dog
her.
real
Yeah.
life scenarios.
Yes.
I don't understand half the stuff I see on TV.
I don't
or
either.
on the internet.
Shake and bake has a question.
Yes,
Yes.
shake and bake.
With the water training, would it help? Hold on here. With the water training, would it help build endurance and strength for the dog with water training?
Well, sure. Yeah, swimming's great.
Oh yeah, swimming's great. Yeah.
Swimming's great, but not going
But
after.
not doing it like. Why would you send your dog in the water to do a bite?
Bite work in the water is not productive.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So,
Don't understand.
Yeah, but let's take this right back to the original Sleeve Happy. This was the first thing that the people that thought they were protection dog trainers. This was the gripe they had against the original Schutzen people when they first came over here, where they taught a dog to bite and hold in one place, no matter what, and so they could do the stick hits. There's a purpose for all that. It's a good purpose in Schutzen in that sport, but that doesn't mean this dog is ready for the street. And the police officers that I worked with at that time, they thought that was the craziest thing they ever heard of. Well, I don't want my dog to bite and hold in one place while somebody hits him in the head with a brick. That's what you're teaching him to do.
Yeah.
Well, the story put out was kind of what you just said, Carrie.
Yeah.
They said, well, because that way, if he bites somebody and they go to court, then he's not going to look like he was mauled, and if he doesn't look like he's been mauled, if he looks mauled, then the the other guy's gonna get away. The court's gonna let him off, right? So it's sort of what you're just saying. Now, Carrie, from the day you commit a crime and get arrested,
Why we gotta bring me in? Why we gotta ask me this question? Like, I don't know these, I don't know.
well, let me finish.
Just kidding.
What do you, no, I know you don't, but let me think. What do you think the average, how long from arrest to actually going to trial do you think most people spend? Is it like you get arrested and 4 days later you're on trial, they get you up this week, or?
No, it depends on first of all, it depends on what county you're in.
Don't sound too knowledgeable now, you know?
Well, I've done research.
Okay,
It
so,
depends on what county you're in, but you don't go right away, no. It's gonna be some months.
some months.
Some are a couple months, some are a year down the road, and it depends on how bad the misdemeanors they get you right in. If you're running from the law, I think that's, I'm not sure, but I think that's a felony.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
And your felony is, you're gonna go to court it's gonna take longer to go to court,
So,
from the research that I've read on the internet.
yeah. And so, this whole myth of it looks better in court is just that, it's a myth. That brokers that are they're buying trained Schutzen-1 dogs and bringing them over and selling them to police departments, and they throw this excuse at them because the officers on the street that at that time had experience with canines, they didn't want any part of this dog, A, that targets only one arm, and B, that'll hang on till it gets his head bashed in.
Yeah. I have cops that they'll train their own dogs because they don't trust
Right.
other trainers. And I know some cops that don't use the shock collars, that don't, and they're really, but
So-
they train like street smart dogs, not
Right.
to hit one.
Right. So you can take from this real simple thing, I believe. If you're looking for a dog to protect you, and someone says send him, you can pretty well forget that.
Shake and Bake has a question.
Yes, shake and bake.
1 second, let me pull it back up.
Is that
She
like wake and
says,
bake?
How long have you guys been doing protection training?
Oh, Butch, and I've been doing it for about 3 years, 2 to 3 years. Really hardcore 2 years, for like everyday hardcore for 2 years. How long have you been doing it, Butch?
How long have I been doing it?
Yeah, and then we'll ask Caroline how long she's been doing
How long
it.
have you been doing it, Caroline?
Yeah, Caroline,
Oh, gosh.
how was that?
Titan's 2, and we brought him here when he was 5 months old.
Okay. So you're not.
And is this your
Yeah.
first dog you've done this with?
Yes,
Okay.
Okay.
my first dog, and it's been very successful. I own a Western Shepherd too, just so you guys know.
I gotta throw that
I
in.
gotta throw that in there. But
So how long?
Butch has taught my dog how to let go one thing and bite another thing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we know.
He exhibited that really well the other
Yeah,
night with a
yes.
new decoy. He's no longer a decoy, so.
No.
So how long have I been doing
Yeah,
protection
yeah,
dogs?
Butch.
Well, when we started, if for those of you that are familiar with the West, have you ever heard of the Rocky Mountains?
Isn't that in Colorado?
Yeah, the Rocky. Well, they run all the way down.
Well, they run in a couple states, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You know what the Rocky Mountains are, right?
The mountains.
Yeah, they're mountains.
Yeah.
When I started training, we used to throw a ball over the top of them and run over there
Oh,
to condition our
whatever.
dogs because they wasn't quite grown up yet.
So he's saying a long,
Rocky
long
Mountains
time
were just
ago.
a little hill when I
Yeah.
started.
Okay.
So, you know,
Well, Butch is only like 49, so
I
you've
like
only
the way
been doing
this
it for
girl-
like what, 40 years since you were like
42
9.
years, 42.
So
Yeah.
you were 7 when you started it.
You know, I love it. I actually did see this guy. He's a shyster boy from Geo. This guy, and he was talking about he had 25 years experience training protection dogs, right? And
Wait, how old was
he
he?
was 31.
So you started when he was. Well, Mina will be able to say that one.
Mina
Will
can
be
say
able to.
it.
But this guy actually came back and said that he was decoying in Schutzen trials when he was 7, and he said 7 years old. That's
Huh.
right. And there's people who believe that.
Okay.
There's people who believe that. You know. If you say that lie loud enough. and
I'm
often
sorry, I
enough,
would not let a 7-year-old decoy my dog
that's
because
the
he will
thing with
eat
it,
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
But
back to
The
the
bull will
suits.
probably be like, this is a kid, I'm supposed to lick her.
Hey, your dog would.
My dog would. My dog loves kids. My dog wouldn't bite. I don't know.
So let's go back to the Suitsuckers, because that's where someone with a serious problem I had a lady today call me about, she's been a victim of some assaults and she's being stalked. And Carrie knows one of our customers that she's good friends with who's, she's got an old boy that when he gets out of prison, he's made it real clear he's gonna come back and mess her up. And, there's people that they're getting these security dogs for a reason. Unfortunately, they're going to these sport dog people and you don't even know the sports. I mean, there's so many kinds of sports out there that you don't know the caliber of their training. And to me, it should almost be a crime.
Yeah.
Because this is a person whose life may be in jeopardy.
Because the dog doesn't know.
Right.
The dog, well, he's not wearing a suit or a sleeve. What do I do? What do I do?
Exactly.
And that's really sad because that's how they're trained.
Right.
I've seen a lot of dogs. If they can't agitate them like you can agitate a dog with that. You don't need anything on the dogs that we have. And if I tell my dog to bite you, he'll probably look at me like, but that's a bunch. But my dog would do it because that's what he's trained to do. Well, if he's threatened.
Yeah.
But my dog's not. What do you call it? Suitsucker?
Suitsucker.
My dog's not a suitsucker.
So, how do you know when you got a suitsucker? Well, in the first place, the minute someone does this target in the pocket stuff, you know he's only trained sport dogs. Because let's face it, how many burglars, purse snatchers, grab your purse and run down the street?
Do like this.
Like this. So, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So there's your first big clue,
Oh, that's funny.
So the next big, and you might watch some of these videos, watch the dogs. I would literally have seen some of these dogs, they're hitting that sleeve, and every now and then, they won't do a lot of close-ups, but every now and then they'll do a close-up. And you can see the dog's eyes, when it's on the sleeve, they're like halfway closed. Like a baby sucking on a pacifier, because they are so ramped and amped up with the adrenaline that when they finally get a hold of something, it's just relief. And then of course the guy falls on them and all this other stuff. That should be your biggest clue that you got a problem. If you got a dog that's going to protect you from someone who's serious, if this person can catch your dog here, and if these so-called decoys knew what they were doing, they can let a dog bite them here, they can fall on the ground, they can shove them against the wall. And they're just doing it in a training format. But the dog doesn't turn loose, he hangs on. Oh my God,
I think
he
you
is
could
so
snap the
tough.
dog's neck easy right there, right?
Thank you, Carrie.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I wouldn't want my dog to bite right there.
no, if it's real life, and if by some fluke, when a dog jumped for me, I held my arm out, and here comes the dog, he's trying to get me. Hold out your arm, hold out your arm.
Well, you would do that. I've heard stories.
Well, yeah.
But you're trained to like.
Okay, well, shh. So, if he did, like Carrie just said, there's two things you can do. And I don't like to give away a lot of the guard dog secrets, because there's some stuff that, that's some professional thieves that you know how to get past dogs. And I really don't want to get out as to all the tricks they use, but two things that are obvious with this new, we didn't have target dogs. I've never heard of that. That's just a recent phenomenon.
We don't do target dogs
But
here.
the first thing that happens if the dog bites here is you just put one arm right behind his neck and fall down. Broke neck. Second thing, say you don't want to break a dog's neck, you got one free hand. And what people don't realize is when this dog is biting you right here, if you're the average person, 5'10", the average dog is only going to be standing up about maybe 5 feet tall, so he's hanging in the air. He doesn't even have his feet on the ground. He can do nothing to fight you. All he can do is hang on. It's a ride. So while he's riding, you simply reach over, grab his collar, slide it up high, twist. I'm not going to go into all the techniques. And you count to 14. At 14, if you have finished or positioned that collar properly and squeezed it tight enough, twisted it tight enough, this dog now passes out. And if you're a real butt, you go ahead and count to 20, 21, and the dog is now dead. So,
and that is why we don't do target dogs here.
that's right. But those are gonna be your first clues. If someone sells you a dog, if they sell, wants to sell you a dog, if they say it's a protection dog, and they show him in action and he jumps up and bites him, and it's always the left arm. It's always the left arm. For all you budding, starting out decoys, and you wanna buy a suit, cause they're really expensive, if you wanna buy a suit and you wanna buy it cheap, these guys usually, they buy suits like they're buying shirts to go to the dance on Saturday night, right? So they always want them to look sharp. They'll sell them used for like half to a third of what the new price is, and the only place that's ever been bit is right here. You can work the legs, you can work the arm, the chest.
That's funny.
You can get you a great suit for very little, and it's got years of life. So there's something for you budding, beginning decoys. If anyone's interested.
Now, I have watched a few people on the, I do follow people on Instagram,
Sure.
and because I watch them, and I will say that there are some, I can't remember his name. He's like out of somewhere, Buffalo Kid or something. Now I like what he does, because he'll agitate the dog without equipment, and
Yeah.
he's been bit a few times. I've seen it. And that right there to me is like they're doing real street like
Right.
scenarios, like,
We do that here too. We do this live.
Well, no, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
all, we do stuff here
I
like
love
that
that.
too. But I always pay attention to stuff like that. Like, I always watch stuff like that. I don't ever, like, the shits and the people that are doing this and doing the water stuff. I will not follow people like that. I will not watch their videos because, well, I mean,
Why should you?
yeah, and I don't. There's nothing I can get out of it. But like the other people I follow, I can get stuff out of it, and it helps me. But and like I said, they do real life stuff, and I can tell that their dogs will bite because, well, I've seen the guy agitate him without stuff, and the dog he got a little close, and the dog snatched him.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Over here.
Any questions on here?
Oh yeah, there was one. It's a little bit of backtracking. Sorry.
Really?
We are both talking.
Well, but you do like some like
You
this.
what?
Alright, shake and bake ass. Stronger your relationship with the dog, the stronger the drive. Basically like when attacking someone. That's
Can I answer that?
Get after it.
My dog, like, we have a real good bond, and like legit, it makes him more passionate when he does stuff for me. And I think that he won't let anyone touch me. Period. If somebody comes at me sideways, and I do feel like the stronger bond. No, am I wrong?
No. I can vouch for that. Because
Oh.
her boyfriend's the horniest guy I've ever met. He ain't touched her since he bought that dog. So, I'm sorry.
And I agree with
But
that.
yeah, because like the bond that I have with my dog, I can legit tell him to do anything, and he'll look at me like, I don't want to, but he will. And I believe it, like if you treat your dog like shit, if someone attacks you, your dog's gonna be like, oh, get him, get him.
Well, I'm gonna say something because Scott is always handling Titan on protection, okay? So he's the one handling him, he's the one doing it. I did it that one time with him, and it was amazing. Now, at home, he's the same way. Even though Scott has handled him most of the time, if Scott and I are together, and Scott goes to put his arm around it, he gets up, I kid you not, and goes right in between us, or bites him in the butt. To
Does
get
this
away-
guy?
Yep, to get away from me.
Not bad.
Not
He's
bad,
like, that's
not
mom.
bad, but-
Yeah, get away from mom, or if we're kind of wrestling around,
Yeah.
I'll just forget about it. He'll just.
And that's why I always tell people,
Yeah.
have a strong bond
Have
with
a
your
strong
dog.
bond with your
Do
dog.
lots of stuff with your dog. The stronger the bond, the more the dog's gonna work for you. Just
Yep.
period. Period. I mean,
Yes, I agree.
So I hope we've answered, because I know we got that term Suitsuckers coined here. I'm guilty.
that's funny. I
And-
like
and-
that.
Yeah.
Trademark coming soon.
And trademarking soon. So I know we got a lot of interest with that phrase, and a lot of people don't know what it is. So
Annette texted me. Annette with Raven.
oh yeah.
She texted me. She said, "What is a suit sucker?" And I said, "Watch." I said, "Watch our podcast tonight, and you find out." She's like, "Grrr." She wanted me to tell her.
So that's what we want everybody to understand. There's
Wait, do you have any more
Whoops.
Shake and
questions?
Bake says, I can ram my dog. I had Shadow Drive, was stronger for me than others would handle her.
Do what? I didn't understand what you just said.
And Swag, you said, says hi, and he says, my female hasn't bitten a sleeve yet. I don't know if she's capable, but likes to guard and bark a lot in her territory. Does that mean she's all bark and no bite?
No, it just means she hasn't had a chance to bite something yet.
Yep.
So let me be confident. This is one thing I can say for a fact. No one can disagree with me on this. No one. I have never met a dog in my entire life that couldn't bite.
Yeah.
Period. All we do is show them when and where we want them to bite, and it's not in your left armpit. That's all we do. So every dog's capable. Now let's quickly broach another subject.
Well, I want to, when he's done talking, I want to say something to that any dog's
Well, go ahead.
going to bite. Well, no. Well, I just, we did a home, I don't know if I've told you, we did a home invasion in my house with Bullet. And I had Bullet, and it was so funny, and Bullet was biting and had him on the ground, and da-da-da-da, and I was like, get him. And I turned, and I didn't see the video because I took Bullet out, so I didn't see what happened, but until I watched the video. My little Chihuahua jumps down off the couch and starts biting the decoy.
There you go.
Yeah. And she's never been trained for it. I just thought that was funny. Go ahead.
And see, that's something I call pack responsibility.
At Butch, do you REM shadow when we did shows before? Did you REM shadow? Did you REM shadow when we did shows before?
I don't know what REM means.
Do you remember
Oh,
shadow?
remember.
Do you remember Shadow?
I remember a German Shepherd named Shadow. Is that Shake and Bake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course I remember Shadow. Of course. Yeah.
Oh, do you
Yeah,
remember
one-
Shadow?
Yeah. It's
I
one of
was
our-
like, what's REM?
One of our dogs.
Duh.
Yeah, I didn't know what REM was.
Oh,
One of our
we're
dogs.
slow.
It's one of the dogs in our guard dog company. Shake and Bake was part of the guard dog company.
Oh, cool.
Because she can tell you some stories herself.
So,
But-
because Fifi did that, you said it's what?
It's what I call pack responsibility. Maybe we should make a topic on that one these days. Dogs will defend their pack. We all know that. We all know they're territorial, but that's what makes them bite in situations that they've never been in before, if they feel there's an honest threat. Now, along with that, I'm going to say one other little thing here before we call it a night. The reason it's difficult, like I said, all dogs bite, but it's difficult to get dogs to bite when you want them to bite a person. I think there's one reason for that. I think the first thing ever bred into dogs, back with cavemen were working with wolves, the first form of controlled breeding was breeding into these dogs an inhibition against biting humans. They have a natural inhibition against biting a person. Here's why I say that. First off, we know today, even the dogs that are bred for biting, German Shepherds, Rottweilers, Dope, it's a little difficult to get them to go up and bite, right? You've seen all this. Think about this, folks. The world was not always quite so PC. We weren't always so worried about hurting somebody's feelings. We weren't always so worried about, oh, someone may not like me. We used to think, I'm hungry, I'm going to knock you upside the head and take your food.
Well, I still think that.
Carrie's a throwback. So let's go back. When I say this is the original thing bred into dogs, this is the first thing that humans ever did in breeding an animal. Baby Ugg is chewing on a little Tyrannosaurus steak bone, right? And the wolf that led him to where them Tyrannosauruses was at, he's sitting in the corner thinking, I sure would like some of that steak bone that Baby Ugg's eating on. And Daddy Ugg, he's sitting back in the corner. He's whittling down his club, cleaning it up a little bit. And old wolf gets up and he walks over to Baby Ugg. He reaches up and he goes, and he grabs that old steak behind Tyrannosaurus steak bone from Baby Ugg. And Ugg jumps up and he takes his club, bam, and he bashes that wolf in the head.
Oh.
And every dog, every canine, every wolf before them that ever attempted to bite a human was eliminated. On the spot, no questions asked. So the dogs, for 10,000 years, the dogs that were continuing to breed were all dogs that were willing to be subjected to humans and did not ever bite a human.
Huh.
So you have a natural inhibition in dogs against biting humans. That's why everyone has trouble doing that. That's why everyone gets mouths, because they just get crazy and don't
Oh,
think
yeah.
about what they're doing.
Well, like
But-
Bullet's temperament. Oh, go ahead.
But there's not a dog around ever that won't bite. And if you combine pack responsibility, which is another term that I coined, with these dogs in certain situations, just like Carrie's little Fifi. And Fifi weighs like 2.5 pounds, but she
I'd
attacks.
say more like 6. She's fat.
Oh, okay.
She got a little meat on her. She might be 8 pounds.
No. But she still
She's
stood
tiny.
up when she thought there was a fight, and her big brother Bullet was in the fight, and she joined in.
Yeah, it was funny.
And these are all the natural instincts that, as trainers, we learn how to trigger in the dogs to get the reaction we want for any situation with a given command. And that's all we're doing when we do any of this stuff. Dogs are born knowing everything we ever want to teach them. Think about it. They know how to sit, they know how to stand, they know how to stay. We just tell them when and where we want them to do it. So
We just teach them enough English to
communicate.
be able to communicate with us because we can't speak Doggish. Well, I mean, some people can, but I can't.
Right. So
For French.
that's another topic. And for the moment, I'll just leave you with this thought.
If you ain't having fun,
You ain't training dogs.
Thank you, folks.